So filling up your journal is one thing, and I fill up so many of them. And the question is like, is it really just about writing down your thoughts, your ideas, whatever it is you're journaling about, or whatever your journaling system at the end is, right? I mean, there are so many possibilities. Or is there actually more to journaling than just like writing things down, filling up the journals, filling up the books? I mean, in the prior videos, I already told you that I use it to slow down, to go with more intention about things. But there is another layer that I also detected at some point, basically randomly, until I then actually dug into the thing and figured out it is an actual practice. So I also needed to go down this road at some point. And it is basically the practice of rereading your journal. And that this also comes with very distinct benefits, and they're actually pretty cool and pretty supportive. So for example, I have a journaling system that is fairly simple. I just have like one journal, not more, and everything goes into this single one journal. I have my task management, my projects, my thoughts, ideas, essays about books I read, ideas from books, just like everything that's in my brain is somewhere there in the journal. I literally use it to think. I love to think with pen and paper because it slows things down and goes more with an intention to do the thing, right? And at some point I started rereading my journals because I was just curious. I was filling them up and I had a bunch of them in my shelf. So I was like, okay, let's have a look. And I figured like, oh wow, I detected a new thought pattern. I detected a new behavioral pattern of mine. I found an inspiration for a problem at work. And this was the point where I then started actually also researching if there is something to rereading your journal. And guess what? Yes, there is. There is a lot. And it comes with really distinct benefits, like I already mentioned. For example, one practice that I'm doing is that I reread very specific dates. For example, anniversaries or when I moved somewhere else or something similar. And at the end of the day, this is kind of a gratitude practice because you're looking back at the happy moments and you can feel grateful again because you can vividly put it again into your brain, into your memory, and you can kind of like daydream about it, which is also, I think, pretty cool. And another point is you can really detect patterns. So journaling itself helped me a lot to slow down, to put things on paper, to reason about things. But the biggest change I could implement in my life and in my behavior, and the biggest leverage I had to become more the person I wanted to actually be is by rereading the journals, right? Because if you're really deliberately like writing down your thought patterns and events that happened and how you responded to events and so on and so forth, and you're rereading them, you will detect pattern on how you react to certain situations and how you react to certain conversations, what triggered you, what did not trigger you, what calms you down, and so on and so forth. And when you have the awareness, you can work on it. Because I think you can also read it in Atomic Habits, where it's really like, if you become aware of the thing, you can change the thing. And this is also why rereading your journals is, in my opinion, such a helpful thing to do, because it really gives you the awareness on your behavior, on your internals. It's basically a look into how you actually work. Maybe you can really unsurface those subconscious behavioral traits you have and change them if you want to change them. So that's another aspect of it. The next thing, as I am personally liking to really have everything in this one single journal and not split it up in multiple journals, I'm really using it also for inspiration, brainstorming, and so on and so forth. So I also have like everything in there when it comes to work. When I'm working at the task and I'm sketching out the concept or I'm reasoning about something, and especially like, for example, when I'm stuck and I know I want to get this thing finished, or I even have a deadline, I need to get it finished, I'm not pressuring myself. That's also something I did at some point, but I then was like, okay, if I'm just saying like, okay, I need to speed up, I need to get this going, it's not helping. So what's helping, or like what's helping in my case, is like just go through my journal again. So rereading again. And very often I'm finding like a similar problem that I solved at one point, or just like some inspiration from something. It could also be non-coding related, right? I also had this moment where I was just like flipping through my journal. I read something, contemplation about a science fiction story I read. And this sparked some kind of idea that then helped me to solve the actual problem at work. So it is really also the source of inspiration. Or also, as I'm also having those things in there, like essays about books or summaries or ideas, citations, like literally everything, it also is basically the inspiration for the videos I'm doing. So basically, what I'm doing to come up with a video idea is nothing else than rereading my journals. I'm just like going through them and having a look, and then maybe a topic jumps my mind, like rereading the journals, right? And then I'm just jotting some ideas down. It's not even in my mind that it's yet a video idea. I'm just like contemplating over the thing. And at some point, it sparks me like, oh, this could be interesting to share. So I'm elaborating on it and pushing it forward all in the journal until I have some kind of a script, some kind of an outline that I then can use as a video idea. But there are also many other things. It really goes through every area of my life, from working out to building things to coding as a software engineer to behavioral things, like literally the whole bandwidth. And that's why I think like rereading the journal or your journals is some kind of a cool practice that's worth trying out. It's not like something that is the magic key to anything, but it could be yet another tool, yet another method that could become useful for one or the other person, right? And something else that I really like to do when I reread my journals is not only just reading through them, but sometimes also going in with a very specific question. So for example, if I'm facing a challenging situation or a worry or something else, I'm sometimes really going in with a very deliberate question and really being like, okay, I want to answer this question by rereading my journal. And there really figuring out, was I facing something similar? Is there maybe a pattern behind? How did I solve it back then? Is there an idea how I could solve the thing? And this is also very helpful in those situations. And the last thing I'm actually also liking to do is like, I'm not filling up my journal just page by page by page until it's full. Yes, like that's a part of it for sure. But when I'm rereading the journal, I'm also taking notes there. So I'm basically writing in the margins, or I put a sticky note if something sparks me, or I even insert a page or something. And with this, I'm basically working on the content in the journal without needing to rewrite everything. Because of course, like if you're reading something and you want to work on it, for me personally, the easiest way is to really like just glue in a page or write on sticky notes and tape them in. Of course, the journal gets really, really junky at some point, but for me personally, it's not bothering me. I actually like it, kind of. And it makes for me the workflow fairly simple, because yes, I want to have the friction of really working analog because it's slowing you down. It gives the whole thing more intention. But on the other hand, I don't want to have too much friction at the wrong place. So really annotating things, gluing things in to reduce that kind of a friction to work with your own content, it's proven itself quite helpful. And I'm also using this basically when it comes to starting a new journal, because I'm filling them up pretty fast. I'm spending way too much money on new journals, but that's not a problem. That's like, I don't know what. And what I'm also doing, like if I'm starting a new journal, I'm deliberately like removing the pages of the old journal that I want to have in a new journal. So for example, if I have maybe a special index or something that I want to move over, or some essays or other references or such that I'm referring to quite often, I'm moving them from the old journal into the new journal. And you're probably also asking yourself, like, how do you find stuff again if you're working in your journal that much? And I came up with an indexing method for my personal journaling method that allows me to refer between things inside a journal, but also across multiple journals. So I can also refer to things that were like in a journal 2 years ago or something. And if you guys interested in how I'm doing that, actually, I can make a dedicated video about that. That's like not, it would like blow up the the boundaries of this video for sure. But yes, I mean, rereading your journal can be really a credit to practice. It can surface patterns about you, behavioral patterns. It can surface bad and good habits that you may be doing subconsciously that you want to change or something. And it can be a great source of inspiration for work, for private life, for really many things.